The millionaire arrived home early and was shocked by what his mother was doing with his black wife. At that moment, at 2:37 p.m. on a Thursday in October, Adrian Cole, 38, parked his electric Audi in the garage of his home in Westchester, New York, and heard screams coming from the kitchen. Simone, his 34-year-old wife, a literature professor he met in Harlem 6 years ago, was screaming. Not out of anger. Out of pain. Adrian had returned 3 hours early from a conference in Boston because the meeting had been cancelled. No one expected him before 6. He entered through the side door, his hand shaking as he turned the doorknob. The sound of porcelain breaking. Then a piercing silence. "Do you think you can come into this family and be treated as an equal?" The voice of Catherine Cole, 63, Adrian's mother, cut through the air like glass. "You are tolerated here. Nothing more." Adrian froze behind the closet in the hallway. He could see the reflection of the two women in the mirror. Catherine, elegant in a beige outfit, gray hair in an impeccable bun, holding a teacup. Simone, crouched on the floor, picking up pieces of broken plate with bleeding hands. Blood dripped onto the white tiles she had chosen when they moved in 2 years ago. "I am his wife," Simone whispered, her voice breaking. "I am part of this family." Catherine laughed. A dry, cruel laugh. "You are black, dear. You will never really be part of this family. You may have the Cole surname, but that doesn't change who you are. My son had a moment of weakness. It's up to me to make sure his mistake doesn't destroy the legacy we've built." Adrian felt a punch in the stomach. For 6 years, Catherine had been perfect. She hugged Simone at dinners, praised her intelligence, cried during the ceremony. Adrian thought they were tears of joy. Now he realized he didn't know his mother. Catherine wiped her fingers delicately. "You will do as I say when Adrian is not around. You will stop trying to impress my friends. You will stop acting like you belong in our circles. And most importantly, you will stop getting pregnant." Simone raised her head abruptly, her eyes wide. "What?" "I found a pregnancy test in your bathroom last week. Positive." Catherine smiled coldly. "You planned this, didn't you? You thought a baby would secure your place." "It's not like that," Simone tried to get up. "We wanted. Adrian and I. My son doesn't want a mixed-race baby. He just doesn't have the courage to tell you." Catherine crossed her arms. "You're going to fix this. Discreetly. Or I guarantee the marriage will end in a way that you lose everything." Adrian had woken up thinking that his biggest problem would be a presentation on investments. Cole Capital Management had closed a $42 million deal. He was a senior partner, a man who had built his fortune starting with a $50,000 loan from his father at the age of 23. At 38, he had it all. A $2 million house, a thriving company, a wife he loved. And now, a baby on the way. Except that the mother he adored, the woman who raised him alone after his father died when Adrian was 15, was ordering his wife to abort their child. Simone managed to get up, leaning on the counter. Blood stained the marble. "I'm not going to do this." Her voice was firm. "This baby is ours. I won't let you." Catherine crossed the kitchen and slapped Simone. The sound echoed like a gunshot. "You have no choice." A girl from Harlem, a teacher earning $50,000 a year, against the Cole family. "Who do you think my son will choose when I tell him you tried to trap him with a pregnancy?" Adrian watched his wife fall to her knees. He watched his mother walk out the back door, returning to the wing he had built especially for her last year when she sold her apartment on the Upper East Side. He saw Simone hug her own body, silent sobs shaking her shoulders. Adrian Cole, a man who always knew what to do, was paralyzed. Discovering that the person you trusted most is a monster doesn't come with a manual. The blood on Simone's hands was from 6 years of silent abuse that he was too blind to notice. Adrian backed away, went back to the garage, got in the car. He drove 2 blocks, stopped in an empty parking lot. For the first time since his father's funeral 23 years ago, he cried. Violent sobs that hurt his chest. When he could breathe again, he picked up his cell phone. He didn't call Simone. He didn't confront Catherine. He opened the home security app. The system had been installed 6 months ago. Cameras in every room except the bedrooms, including the kitchen. He rewound the recording to 2 hours ago. Then to yesterday. Last week. Last month. Each video was a new layer of horror. Catherine forcing Simone to eat cold food. Catherine hiding mail, including letters from Simone's mother who had cancer in Harlem. Catherine telling her friends that her mixed-race granddaughter would never be introduced to their social circles. If you feel nauseous about what Catherine did, if your heart is broken for Simone, if you want to know how Adrian is going to make Catherine pay for every moment of cruelty, subscribe to the channel. Because the man who discovered that his mother was racist wasn't just shocked. He was about to become the person Catherine should have feared from the beginning. Adrian spent 3 days reviewing months of recordings. Each video revealed new systematic cruelty that turned his stomach. Catherine forcing Simone to use the back-end trance when she had visitors. Catherine throwing away gifts Simone bought for her. Catherine intercepting calls from Simone's mother at the hospital, saying her daughter was too busy to talk. But it was a video from 2 weeks ago that broke something inside him. Simone had prepared a special dinner for Catherine's birthday. She spent the whole day cooking her mother-in-law's favorite dishes, setting the table with flowers and candles. Catherine arrived, looked at everything, and said directly to the camera as if she knew Adrian would watch it one day. Pathetic. A black woman trying to buy approval with soul food. This isn't dinner, it's an insult. Catherine threw everything in the trash and forced Simone to clean up before Adrian returned from his trip. When he called to ask if Catherine liked the surprise, his mother lied with frightening ease. "It was beautiful, son. Your wife is so thoughtful." Adrian found something worse. A WhatsApp group called Westchester Elegance, where Catherine shared updates about Simone with equally privileged and racist friends. Adrian's daughter-in-law is getting bolder. Yesterday she tried to join the conversation about investments at dinner. I had to subtly remind her of her place. Response from Patricia Mills, CEO's wife: "You have the patience of a saint. I would have sent her back to Harlem a long time ago." Catherine replied, "Patience, no. Strategy. I'm documenting every inappropriate behavior. When I have enough evidence that she doesn't fit into our class, I'll make Adrian see what a mistake he made." Adrian closed his laptop, his hands shaking. Catherine wasn't just abusing Simone. She was orchestrating a campaign to destroy their marriage. He called the only friend he knew who could keep a secret. Nate Rivera, a private investigator who had helped him with a fraud case at the company 3 years ago. "I need you. Urgently." Nate arrived in 2 hours and sat down in Adrian's office. "Show me." Adrian opened the video files. Nate watched in silence, his jaw clenching with every passing minute. "This is systematic domestic abuse. And what about the false documentation your mother is creating? Preparing to destroy Simone's credibility if she tries to defend herself." "I need more than home videos," Adrian said. "I need something that will destroy her completely before she destroys my family." Nate connected a device to the laptop. "Let's do a complete forensic analysis of her cell phone and computer. If she's documenting lies, she's also leaving digital traces of her true intentions." He explained that they needed physical access to Catherine's devices for 2 hours. Adrian thought of the charity dinner on Friday, where Catherine always left her cell phone charging all night. "There's more." Nate showed him screenshots of the messages. This Westchester Elegance group may be involved in other discriminatory activities. If we can get the complete history, we'll have material to expose a much larger pattern of prejudice among the Westchester elite. While driving home, Adrian received a call from his personal attorney, James Chun. "Adrian, I heard something troubling. Your mother is consulting with attorneys about custody. She's claiming that Simone has emotional problems and needs time away during her pregnancy." Adrian's blood ran cold. If Catherine got a court order, she could have Simone removed from the house, isolating her completely. "James, prepare a counterpetition immediately. And revoke any power of attorney my mother has over my affairs or Simone's. Adrian, this could alert her. I don't care. I won't let her legally kidnap my wife while I gather evidence." That night, Adrian found Simone alone in her room, looking out the window. She didn't know he had found out everything. He wanted to tell her, but he knew he needed to have a complete plan first. "Simone, we need to talk." She turned around, her eyes red from crying. "About what?" "About us. About the baby." Adrian sat down next to her. "Why didn't you tell me?" Simone lowered her gaze. "I was going to tell you yesterday, but your mother." She stopped, realizing she had said too much. "My mother what?" Adrian gently held her hands. Simone, I need you to trust me. What did she do? For a long moment, Simone remained silent. Then, like a dam breaking, everything came out. 6 years of cutting remarks when Adrian wasn't around. 6 years of being treated like an intruder in her own home. 6 years of pretending everything was fine so as not to destroy the relationship between Adrian and Catherine. She said, "You'll never choose me," Simone whispered. "That I'm just a phase. That a mixed-race baby would be a disgrace to the Cole family." Adrian felt such intense anger that he had to take several deep breaths before speaking. "I choose you. I chose you 6 years ago, and I choose you now. And our child is not a disgrace. It's the future. Catherine is the one who's on the wrong path." Simone looked at him, tears falling. "But she's your mother. You love her." "I loved the person I thought she was." Adrian wiped her tears. "But that person never really existed." He put his arm around Simone. "I need you to trust me for a few more days. I'm taking care of everything. It'll be okay." She nestled against him, finally allowing someone to protect her after years of silent loneliness. Adrian looked out the window at the wing where Catherine lived. Lights on, probably writing more poisonous messages to her friends. She had built a campaign of hatred believing that Adrian would never discover the truth. But she had made a fatal mistake. She had attacked the wrong person. Simone was not only Adrian's wife. She was the mother of his son. And Adrian had learned in business that when someone threatens your family, you don't just defend them. You make sure they can never threaten them again. Friday of the charity dinner arrived. Catherine descended the stairs in a navy blue silk dress, radiant with the proximity of victory she believed was guaranteed. "Adrian, you need to sign these papers before we go." She handed him an envelope. Documents for Simone's treatment. She needs professional help during her pregnancy. Stress, emotional instability. Dr. Palmer agreed that rest in a specialized clinic would be ideal. Adrian took the envelope and opened it slowly. He read every line of the admission order that Catherine had forged with his signature. "Interesting. Because I just spoke with Dr. Palmer. He never signed this." Catherine's smile faltered. "I don't know what you're talking about. There must be some confusion." "There is no confusion." Adrian pulled out his cell phone. "It's absolutely clear." For the first time in days, Catherine looked uncertain. He showed her the phone screen where security camera videos were open. Every moment of cruelty, every lie, every racist word preserved in high definition. Catherine's face paled. "You spied on me? I protected my family from the person who pretended to be my mother." Catherine tried to regain her composure. "You jumped to conclusions. Everything I did was for your own good. Simone is not suitable for our class. For our family. She was trapping me with a planned pregnancy." Adrian stepped forward, his voice icy. "Wow. It's our pregnancy. And you know what else I found out?" She connected her phone to the huge TV in the living room. Messages from the Westchester Elegance Group began to appear. Every racist word, every cruel plan, every moment of sadism exposed. "Adrian's daughter-in-law is getting bolder," Adrian read aloud. "I had to remind her of her place." Catherine backed away, panic replacing confidence. "You can't. This is private." "I can now." TMZ, New York Post. They all have the story. Westchester Elite runs racial abuse campaign. Including photos of you forcing my pregnant wife to eat off the floor like an animal. Catherine's cell phone began ringing incessantly. First Patricia Mills. "Catherine, what the hell are those photos in the Post?" Then Margaret Sterling. "You've gotten us into huge trouble." Adrian continued relentlessly. "And there's more. My lawyer has already revoked every power of attorney you had. The wing of this house where you live? It's in my name. You have 72 hours to leave." 72? Catherine collapsed into a chair. "This is my home. I built this family. You built an empire of lies. And the false documentation about Simone's emotional instability? Perfect evidence of attempted medical fraud. The county prosecutor's office is very interested." Catherine tried one last desperate measure. "I'm your mother. I carried you, raised you alone after your father died. How can you do this to me?" Adrian leaned forward. "You were my mother. Until the moment you slapped my pregnant wife and ordered her to abort my child. At that moment, you became a stranger who needs to get out of my life. Simone appeared at the door. She had heard everything. Catherine looked at her with naked hatred for the first time without masks. You did this. You poisoned my son against me. Simone walked across the room with a dignity that Catherine had spent years trying to destroy. I did nothing but love your son and try to be part of this family. You chose hatred. Now you will live with the consequences. Catherine's cell phone rang again. It was her own lawyer. Catherine, I can no longer represent you. Conflict of interest with other affected clients. Your friends are all distancing themselves, Adrian observed. Apparently, being exposed as racist and abusive is not good for one's social image. Catherine finally broke down completely. Please, Adrian. Let's work this out. I'll change. Simone can stay. We'll go to family therapy. Anything. The time to change was before spending 6 years torturing the woman I love. Adrian picked up the briefcase he had prepared. Here are the family divorce papers. You are no longer welcome here. You will have no contact with my son when he is born. And if you try any retaliation, remember, I have resources you cannot imagine, and now I know exactly what kind of person you really are. Nate Rivera walked through the door, 2 security guards with him. Mr. Cole, the car is waiting for Mrs. Catherine. Your luggage has already been transferred to a rented apartment in White Plains. Catherine looked around at the house she had considered hers, at the son she was sure she would control forever, at the daughter-in-law she had tried to destroy. How did we get here? You got here, Adrian corrected, when you chose hatred over love. When you decided that someone's skin color mattered more than their character. As Catherine was escorted out, Simone held Adrian's hand. He pulled her close, resting his hand gently on her still flat belly where their child was growing. Catherine looked back one last time from the door, seeing the image she had tried to prevent, Adrian and Simone together, strong, unbreakable. But what Catherine didn't know was that the consequences of her actions went far beyond losing her son and grandson. Because when Adrian Cole decided to protect his family, he didn't stop halfway. And in the coming months, Catherine would discover that losing her luxury was only the beginning, and that underestimating a man defending his wife and child was the most costly mistake anyone could make. 18 months later, Adrian watched Simone teach literature to teenagers at the community center he had funded in Harlem. At 36, she radiated a strength that had been suppressed by years of silent abuse. On her lap, 10-month-old Daniel Cole played with a cloth book, a smile lighting up his face. Remember, children, Simone said, her voice firm. Education is the most powerful tool we have. Use it to build bridges where others build walls. Catherine, meanwhile, had become an outcast in Westchester. Former friends publicly rejected her after the national scandal. Living in a 1-bedroom apartment in White Plains, supported by the minimum alimony allowed by the legal agreement, she discovered that privilege without character is only a temporary illusion. She tried to contact him 3 times in recent months. First with flowers and a letter asking for forgiveness. Adrian returned it unopened. Then she showed up at his office, where security guards politely removed her. Finally, she sent a registered letter saying she had cancer and needed to see her grandson before she died. Adrian showed the letter to Catherine's doctor, who confirmed that she was perfectly healthy. Yet another lie in a life built on deception. Don't you feel anything? Simone asked one night as they put Daniel to bed. Looking at an old photo of Adrian as a child in Catherine's lap. I do, Adrian admitted. I mourn the mother I thought I had. But that woman never really existed. The real Catherine chose hatred. And some bridges, once burned by cruelty, should not be rebuilt. The Westchester Elegance Group was exposed nationally. Patricia Mills lost her position on the board of 3 charities. Margaret Sterling was forced to resign from the club she had presided over for 15 years. All faced civil lawsuits from former domestic workers who had suffered similar discrimination. What began as Catherine's campaign against Simone revealed a whole system of abuse among the local elite. Adrian had turned tragedy into purpose. In addition to the community center, he created a scholarship fund for young black people in Harlem interested in finance. He had already helped 23 students in the last 18 months. The program was called Daniel's Future, in honor of his son. Every time he saw one of them get an internship or close their first deal, Adrian felt he was building the world Daniel deserved to grow up in. Simone never forgot 6 years of silent humiliation, but she also didn't let it define who she was. She wrote a book about her experience, Invisible in Plain Sight, which became a bestseller and sparked national conversations about racism in interracial families. 50% of the profits went to organizations that supported women in abusive relationships. Simone's mother, Gloria, survived cancer and now lived in an annex that Adrian had built on the property. She and Simone had made up for lost years when Catherine had blocked contact. Gloria held Daniel with tears in her eyes. "My grandson will grow up knowing where he came from. Knowing that love is stronger than hate. Knowing that true family is as much a choice as it is something you are born into." Adrian received a letter from James Chun the week before. Catherine was suing for parental alienation, claiming she had been unfairly banned from her grandson's life. The judge dismissed the case within 10 minutes of seeing the evidence. Records showed that it was Catherine who distanced herself through her own actions, not Adrian who distanced her. She had chosen racism over relationship. Now she lived with her choice. In an interview on a national program, a reporter asked Adrian if he felt he had taken revenge on his mother. Adrian paused, choosing his words carefully. "Revenge suggests I did something to her. I didn't. She built her own prison with hatred and lies. I just refused to live in it with her. I protected my family. And that's not revenge. It's love in action." On Daniel's first birthday, the house was full of true friends. Simone's co-workers, family members from Harlem, Adrian's business partners who had proven to be real allies. Catherine was not invited. Not even mentioned. Because family was not about blood or last names. It was about who showed up, who protected, who loved unconditionally, regardless of skin color. Adrian lifted Daniel in the air, his son laughing, chubby and happy. He saw Simone talking to Gloria, the two most important women in his life now connected without barriers. He saw a future that had almost been stolen by prejudice disguised as maternal concern. And he felt peace that came from knowing he had made the right choice, even when it cost him his relationship with the only family he had known for half his life. Catherine sent a card on Daniel's first birthday. Inside was an old photo of her holding baby Adrian. On the back, a single line, "You are my world." Adrian looked at the photo for a long moment. Then he put it in a folder with all the other evidence of the case, filed it away, and closed it. The past preserved but no longer lived. "Do you know why we won?" Simone asked, Daniel between them on the sofa. "Because you remembered that a true family is built on love, not tolerance. Catherine tolerated my presence. You chose me. There's a difference." Adrian smiled and kissed the top of her head. "The best choice I ever made. If you believe that love conquers hate, that protecting your family is the only wealth that matters, that racism has no place in any home, subscribe to the channel. Because Adrian Cole proved that defending those we love is not an option when character is being tested. It's an obligation. And that a true mother is not only the one who gave you life, but the one who teaches you to live with integrity. Catherine Cole forgot that lesson. And she paid the price that people like her always pay when they confuse privilege with the right to hurt others.